I wanted to kind of switch subjects a little bit. Last week, or rather, the entire 2023 year for the sport of boxing has been one to remember. Last week, I know you mentioned you were also in Japan. You had an opportunity to be part of the co-main event for the Inoue versus Fulton fight. You were also at the Errol Spence Terence Crawford mega fight this past weekend. Can you remember, in your years of professional boxing, the landscape as far as the hype and just an incredible week that it's been?
Well, it's the days of Mike Tyson and all these guys, Julio Cesar Chavez in Las Vegas, at fights at the Mandalay Bay, Conor McGregor, and those were the big hype fights, right? And they were great. It's good to have them back, and the Inoue fight was, I don't think people realized how good this kid was until they showed him again, right? And then the Crawford Spence fight, they built that up as a big fight, and Terence Crawford did what he did and really kind of surprised everybody. I think the whole boxing industry and the fans of how good he really was and how good he really is.
Terence Crawford, he's one of those fighters, Stitch, that, in my opinion, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
Right.
A lot of people for many years always thought, Errol Spence Jr. was going to walk him down, was going to beat him. He's one of the boogeyman at 147, one of the most avoided fighters in the past, 4 or 5 years. And Terence Crawford put on a hell of a display as far as a masterpiece. And, I actually thought that Spence was going to take the fight, but, I was wrong. When you saw that fight, what did it remind you of? Did you expect it to be, that easy for him?
No, I didn't actually. I expected it to be a distant fight, only because they were both so good, right? But I tell you, when it changed is when he got dropped the first time. His whole body language changed completely, and I knew at that point he was done because the body language changed because of the mind changed, and at that point he was defeated.
Well,
and let me add that's why it's important to have a good corner with you, because I thought that fight should have been stopped before it got stopped. At that point, he wasn't going to win the fight.
Well, Coach Derek James, obviously 3-time trainer of the year. He's been with Errol Spence for many years. I know he's been taking a lot of criticism from a lot of different fighters, a lot of different trainers, as far as, their opinions of him not being able to stop the fight. But one thing that I appreciated from Errol was just the never quit mentality. I mean, the guy went up, he got dropped 3 times and just kept coming forward, man. Like, he was trying to win rounds. He knew he was down on the scorecard. And, as a fight fan, it was a privilege to see him fight, because these two guys were arguably one of the top 3 fighters pound for pound in this era. What effects do you feel not being able to stop a fight would have, from a longevity as far as from the fighters?
Yeah, I always look, good question. I always look at long-term damages, right? It's not a short-term, a lot of long-term. I don't know. I was looking more of the short-term. He got beat. Let's save him for another fight. The long-term, all that's based on an accumulation of shots, and he took a lot of shots, right? So we'll see. What kind of impact it has. If you look at him 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. But right now, I think he's okay. I think it's just a matter of regrouping and then doing it again.
Well, I think, one of the things that this led, in my opinion, was the best to fight the best, because boxing needed this fight. It really did. And for them to, sit down like men and negotiate and make it happen, whether right or wrong, whether, obviously one had to be the victor, one had to be the loser. I mean, this is what the sport needed. I mean, we're looking at fights like Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor, and a lot of different potential matchups here in the future. To me, it kind of opens up the floodgates to allow for these big fights to happen. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And even Jake Paul and Nick Davis fight, it's creating a lot of drama and bringing a lot of boxing people into the mix, a lot of MMA people bringing into the bigs. But yeah, boxing needed a nice little boost in the arm, and I think they got it last week.